Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Two Jiujiteiras. I'm Babs.
I'm Katie.
We're happy to have you here today. Sorry, I can't talk today. Bear with me, folks.
It's all right. It's one of those days.
Yeah. So today we just wanted to kind of go over a really fantastic event that we went to just recently. Of course, it was for women who do jiu-jitsu. And Katie, take it away.
Yeah, the Women That Fight is an organization. I think Courtney initiated it for Atlantic provinces, and it's just a bunch of women getting together from all over the Atlantic provinces for jiu-jitsu events and women's only. So that's really cool. So Sarah has taken over that, and they did their annual event in PEI.
Yeah, it was the 10th anniversary, which was super cool because it was my first one.
Yeah, it's only been my second one. I was there a few years ago. Another girl that I trained with, she and I went together, and it was a blast. And then, so I finally got back to PEI to check out the WTF.
Yes, I know. It feels weird because when you think of WTF, but it's Women That Fight.
Yeah.
Really good organization supporting kind of all things, whether tournament based or seminars or just everything about women in the sport of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So it's Wolf Run Academy that hosts it in Prince Edward Island. And it was Paul Abel that kind of took the reins on this one. Jill, I think, is his highest ranking female in the club, and I love Jill. So she was great, and she also opens up her cabin to everyone at the end of the seminar, so that they can stay the night and have great food, have some drinks, and spend some time together. Yeah. Network with a bunch of females. That's my favorite.
It was pretty awesome. It was my, I've gone to a couple of other clubs outside of my comfort zone. I've work at some of the rogue tournaments, actually almost everyone, but going
co-owner. If no one's picked up on that yet, I love to brag that Jill is co-owner of the rogue grappling tournaments that are hosted in Atlantic Canada.
Thank you.
And we also, had the privilege of seeing the launch of her new gear line too with Standalone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We our group, like our company Standalone, we just wanted to do some jiu-jitsu gear, and it was pretty exciting. I got to design the colored rash guard, so I was pretty pumped to see people excited and being at the women's event to launch it, and they're being the first ones for them to grab them and see on social media, like how they fit, how they're liking them. So it was really nice. But yeah, the event, it was really cool. So it was my real first one, going in with just like a mass of different people that I haven't really closely interacted with. So I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
But everybody was very supportive, very gracious. It was really, I'm really glad that I went.
Yeah.
It was just an outstanding experience, and seeing other professors teach as well. So that was kind of cool. Like, you're just, everybody has their kind of style, and, what do I know from what I've trained so far to, how other people train. Cause obviously Wolf Run had a lot of their main people locally that were attending the event too, but it was cool to see people like Sarah's from Cape Breton, and, people from the other side of the island, and Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And so it was, it was a pretty good, turnout, which was nice.
I'm really glad you touched on seeing other coaches, because that's one of the takeaways I get from attending these events and going and traveling and dropping into other gyms and stuff, is seeing what their take is, or what, just a simple cue can be different from what I teach or what other instructors that I'm used to teach. And it's kind of nice to keep building on your techniques and building how you teach as a coach, with different cues and stuff that you're learning from other instructors. Because the more you get and the more you learn from everybody else and start to compound it into your own game or your own thing, it just gets better and better and better. I think that's one of the evolutions of jiu-jitsu, is seeing how different it can get from adding on to everybody else's instruction.
Yeah, because you had a eureka moment there that you were super excited about.
So 1 stripe brown belt, and we've done the warm up numerous times for the lizard walk down the mats. And Paul had mentioned that he actually showed and demonstrated on a live body that same position on someone, and it was like, that's why we do that warm up. And it was kind of like this little light bulb moment. It's like, I think I was probably a blue belt before anyone explained why we shrimp. And I mean, obviously, we're getting better and better as teachers to inform our students earlier and earlier. But when I first started, I can't remember if John was a purple belt when I first started teaching. And then sometimes there's just those gaps where you forget to explain why it is we're doing something or what the purpose of it is. So, 1 stripe brown, learned lizard is actually like basically a form of Keisugatami. So, all right, that's cool.
And it is cool because I can certainly attest to when I attempted jiu-jitsu like 10 years prior. That was one of my horror stories. Is it was warm up and they were lining up. There was 30 some people in the class, and it's like, okay, everyone's gonna shrimp, and I was like, what the is a shrimp? And clearly, I got dragged across the mats because I couldn't do it. Sorry, Professor Kelly. I was holding everybody up, and it was intimidating. But the next time around I come in, it was like, shrimping. It's because this is one of the most common positions that you're going to do to get yourself out of a bad situation.
Creates that space you need.
Yeah. So now my brain, training this, I'm like, okay, there is a purpose. There is a purpose for it, other than just like getting the blood flow moving. But so it's nice. Yes. All of the professors and teachers that I've, do a better job of explaining it and really fostering those new people like, okay,
yeah,
here are the names, here's the terms, here's why we do this.
Yeah.
So you're not
you
just
don't really realize it, but I mean, as a coach sitting on the sidelines and screaming these positions to your people, anyone on the outside who doesn't train or doesn't hit the mats is like, jiu-jitsu is its own language in a way. I think I've said that in the past too, but it's, it's kind of comical when you think about it.
And it's true. There's like different dialects I find, because sometimes I'll hear someone say one term and then, I'll go home talking to my husband. I'm like, yeah, we did this today. And he's like, what? And then I go into explaining what we did. He goes, oh, you mean this move? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Is there 2 different things to call it? Because
well, I can remember even being at work one time and there's a fella who had done some form of wrestling, and I'm describing a Kimura and he's calling it a key lock. And I'm like, no, it's a Kimura. And, Patrick, who's basically the biggest geek ever for all martial arts, he's like, that, in whatever style of wrestling that he does, that is considered a key lock. So, you learn something new. You can save face by not arguing with someone that, but yeah, I was all in good fun. And I did go back to the guy and be like, oh, like,
apparently
learn something new. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Main thing with the Women That Fight event, I love anytime women get together as a group and support each other. And it's just like a collective positive energy, and just, everyone's there for the same purpose, and just really, really good atmosphere for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's kind of interesting, like your perspective versus my perspective, like me being so new and you having gone to one, but also more accustomed to travel, because you do a lot with like different jiu-jitsu camps and all kinds of stuff. So just that familiarity with just, okay, we're going to roll with some strangers.
Yeah.
Versus my exposure has been like people I know, 2 clubs that I go to, and it's more of a comfort zone, even though jiu-jitsu itself is putting yourself outside your comfort zone. I was really nervous about rolling with people I've never really.
That you didn't know?
Yeah. Like I rolled with Abby Steele, who is just like absolutely amazing. And I know her and I've watched her compete, but actually being in close quarters and going, okay, we're going to, do our roll. I was super nervous, but she was absolutely amazing, because I always have this fear that how hard are people going to roll? But of course she's, knows obviously I'm a white belt, and it's like, okay, we're not going 110 here because
Yeah.
what would I accomplish? But it was, but you always have that kind of nerve of like, who's got something to prove?
Yeah.
And, you don't want to seem as though you're training and you don't know anything, but at the same time, it's okay that you don't know anything.
Yeah.
But you want to kind of make your coaches, like I wanted to make you proud and
Oh,
make
I'm
Coach
always
Mike
proud of you.
proud, like I actually, hold my own out there. So
Yeah. Abby's just got an amazing energy. I met her for the first time. I competed against her actually recently at a Rogue tournament. And just her online persona matches her in-person persona perfectly. She's just
Absolutely.
always smiling and has a really positive energy. So yeah, I'm glad you had that experience because she's a great one to match up with. Yeah.
And I'll be going to the island to visit her at her club because, she gave me a lot of good feedback and it was just like a fun. The first second I was like, oh God. But, once we got into it, I was like, okay, this is good. Like this will be a fun role. And if I screw up, it's all good. I'm going to screw up. And I guess that's the other thing is just knowing you can, because I'm the type of person, not that I laugh at everything, but I like to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm not the person now. I can't say that for everybody because obviously there are some that I have at the club that are competing.
Right.
So for them, they take it a little more serious because obviously they have only so long before their competition. So, but for me, I can turn that on and off. But for the most part, I'm there. I want to learn, but I really want to enjoy it as well. I'm not taking it so serious that I walk away like it's like fail or it was like the best or the worst. There was, there's stuff to learn. There's things I can do better. There's things that I did well. But yeah. Anyways.
No, that's good. And it's funny because Sarah that runs the WTF now, I've had her on social media for a while and corresponded with her different times. And she's a major competitor. So I'm always like reaching out to her and like, so it was funny when we saw her there and she's like, I've met you before. And I was like, no, I just basically blow up your IG and act like we're besties. Like just girl crush, like no big deal. But she was super sweet to meet in person too. And she's got like that same happy personality, but she's incredibly strong competitor.
It's really amazing too to see that because everybody was so nice. And I know so many of the women that you talk to them, they're super bubbly, laughing, and then they get out on the mats and it's for competitions. Whoa, that energy, right? They're in the zone. Yeah. But yeah, the other cool thing about the event that we went to is not that I made like a whole bunch of IG connections, but that's actually really cool because everybody was connecting on social media afterwards. You can see what their training looks like. They're posting their gear, they're posting what competitions they're going to be doing, pictures from the events themselves, and like you're able to support them. Like it's been really cool seeing the stories and just everyone being so supportive of, women that fight. The seminar that took place, there was just so many reposts and so many pictures and so many just likes and comments, and it just really fostered such a really like close-knit community.
Yeah.
And I think it was awesome that anybody, even if you're outside, can join.
Yeah. I felt bad because I had just gotten a brand new tattoo. So I'm there and I remember standing there and a girl came up to me and she's like, do you want to roll? And she's a white belt. And I was like, oh, I just got a new tattoo. And she's like, so you're not rolling? And I said to you at the store later, it was like, oh, I didn't even clue in. But like now that I'm kind of climbing up in rank and stuff and you see people who are beginner level and it's like, oh, there's a brown belt, like that's exciting to roll with. And I felt kind of like I let some people down. So the next time I go, I promise I won't get new ink. And it's so hard to sit on the sideline and watch rolls, like it hurts my heart so much. I was like, oh, why? But yeah, it's kind of funny that happened too. But I just love the energy. Anytime women get together and share their experiences and their stories and things that they've overcome. Even just like the book recommendations from that was amazing. And Sarah gave some tips on like competitor mindset, which was really good. I don't feel like I have that competitor mindset. So the more I want to start competing, I have to like maybe start amping up my own training. But it's really cool to get a group of women there together and just share. It's really good.
Absolutely. And I think too that, for those of you that are farther away and outside the Maritimes that are listening, hopefully we'll eventually reach that across the continent, but what's in your community? You know, what is there women's only classes? Is there opportunity for it? For those of you, you know, males in, you know, in the audience, in your clubs, is there opportunity to help kind of like foster that support for the women, for those numbers to grow? You know, having your own kind of organizations in your community that kind of pull resources so that all of the other clubs surrounding, you know, can get together and have these types of things. Because Sarah, you know, had mentioned at the end, like she put a lot of work into getting sponsors, prizes, and things, so that as we were doing stuff, you know, we were getting gear, getting gift certificates, getting free registrations for events to really promote, you know, people sticking with it, having those opportunities to go to those tournaments, because, you know, they can be expensive if you're trying to, you know, do so many a year and then travel, which was really cool. So
sorry to interrupt you.
No.
One of the women that was there was saying how like her child competes all the time, and you know, by the time she pays for that registration fee and then the cost of travel, for the sponsors to have given her like a free registration for herself, then she can still get to take part, because all too often women will put themselves on the back burner and family comes first. So if you have children competing, especially, you know, with the cost of registrations and stuff, you don't always want to justify that extra cost of getting in there yourself. So yeah, it was really nice of the sponsors. Brogue was one of the sponsors. Jillian won't brag for herself, so I'm going to brag because I think it's awesome to see women in the sport and women who are like running companies to foster the sport. I think that's awesome. So, but yeah, I thought that was really cool too, to see the amount of work that went in to try and get the sponsors and have all that stuff set up would be.
Yeah. And I think too, what was nice is that she did put it out there that she would be looking for help, you know, like where to have other events. 'Cause this was like an annual event, but if people want more, they want to get together as a group. So of course, social media, then the questions start happening. Where do you want to see another event? You know, that kind of thing. So, and then other people can kind of help organize, you know, opening up their clubs, you know, helping on social media, kind of like get traction in that. So though those are all a really good things for any of you that are not in the Maritimes or close by, you know, just checking the scene and what opportunities are available to you for, you know, growing women in the sport. 'Cause it's, there are like, I was amazed at how many showed up, because it was like 20 some women. Like it was a good group. But then you go back to your, you know, respective clubs, and it's like, you know, the one I go to, there's 3 of us. I think we just have actually 4 now, because 2 other females have started, which is awesome.
Oh, that's exciting.
I've taken a little bit of a break, so I need to get back to it. But yeah, so that's good. But again, like compared to like 20 some in a group, and you've got 4. So it's like seeing those numbers kind of like, you know, balance out.
Yeah. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 consistent females that train co-ed at my club. Usually it's not uncommon for me to be the only female in the advanced class on the mats. I do see more and more starting for the beginner classes, which is always super exciting. And and then the women's only is always a good promotion to get women just to dip their toe. Come try it out. So
yeah, and I mean your goal for the women's class is really to get in the door and then eventually get to co-ed classes. Assuming
I do encourage the co-ed classes. If it's a woman that isn't comfortable training with men, then I certainly don't push it. But if the fear is just getting over the uncomfortable awkwardness of like, you know, positional training and stuff, then I think the women's class is a great way to do that. Because I know, and I've said this before with our club, that I don't think there's anybody being creepy or weird. And any of the guys I've trained with are incredibly respectful, and I don't think they're thinking anything pervy while we're training.
No, I would agree. It's the same.
They're like, oh shit, Katie's gonna choke me. But yeah, no, I think for the most part, and it probably differs at other gyms. I'm sure there are people who are allowed into gyms that shouldn't maybe occupy that space. But like I say, we're super fortunate at MXT. We've got a very good culture and excellent instructors who wouldn't tolerate any kind of, weirdness.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. At both clubs, because we're also MXT affiliate and over on the West Side, and it's the same. It's that fostering of respect, communication. So I feel very comfortable, going in there and saying, like, if I have any injuries or if I'm, because that's important too, especially for those of you that are new. And if you decide to stop in at other clubs or even just getting to know your teammates, what are you in this for? Are you there to, because eventually you want to compete, you just want to like do light rolls. It's good to push yourself. You obviously want to push yourself, but not to the point where you're like, okay, we're going 110% today. And it's like submission, right to the submission. It's more of a, I'd like some opportunity, some slow rolls, whatnot. Don't manhandle me. Or if you, like I said, if you have injuries, then what those are and what you're not willing. Because I'm nervous about the knees.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm getting to know some of my other teammates that, may be a little more like, woohoo, like just kind of like free spirited and a lot faster and can put things on very quickly. So, I was rolling with one of the gentlemen and I just said like nothing with the knees, like, cause I'll panic and I won't know what I'm doing. And a lot of the times when injuries happen, that it's for that reason. It's like, you don't realize something that's been put on you.
Yeah.
You don't react the right way.
Yeah, I think with heel hooks especially, and I mean with heel hooks, it's a devastating injury, So, you don't want anyone putting that on you quickly, and especially I don't want anyone putting it on me, period, without having a discussion prior to that's going to be on the table when we're training, just because like it's the possibility there of if the person reacts the wrong way, whether the person who puts it on is intending to hurt you or not. I mean, in training, I would hope they're not. But if you respond the wrong way, you can do the damage yourself. Either way, you end up with an injury that you have to recover from. So, So I think with heel hooks, I think it's a different type of game, and it's important to maybe like have those discussions prior to rolling. I don't want people putting that on me. I think it's important for a coach too to let people know what their level is and what they're allowed to be doing. I don't disagree with coaches teaching heel hooks to lower belts and stuff, but I think it should be under the advisory that it's not in your rule set. And, if you're going to play with them during rolls or what have you, you need to have a discussion with your partner as to whether or not they're comfortable with that. Because I'll put it out there. I would be pissed if someone at a lower level throws a heel hook on me without me expecting it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And like you said, there are rules where at certain levels you don't get to do that. That's not what you're focusing on. But again, communication, just stating that when you're like learning your partners, because some people, there can be those cowboys that are just like, I saw this really cool thing on YouTube and I just want to try it. And there's, I think Professor Kelly had joked about that in one of the classes, like, guys, if you're going to send me some 20-minute YouTube video, like get to class. I'm not watching it. I have my curriculum. If there's time, you want to talk to me after class, fine. But, there is a certain level of like, here's the progression. Don't just do what is sexy all the time.
Exactly.
And that's what people get like, whoa, check it out. And it is fun to aspire to things. But, if that's all you're looking at it for, you can just get kind of disappointed, because there is the fundamental aspect of it.
And I don't want anyone to think that I'm shitting on heel hooks. I mean, it's a valid part of the game. It's just, the risk there in my game outweighs the benefit of using it. So, I mean, in competition, there's certainly a space for that. For me, I understand. Even in competition, there's been times where I've requested that not be part of the thing, just because, if I can't walk, I can't go to work and I can't pay my bills.
Yeah.
So I think that's the importance of, as a coach, when you're teaching that type of style or that type of move to lower belts and stuff, that you instill in them that there are people that may not want you to play with this in a, regular role.
Yeah, for sure.
Situation.
Yeah. It's isolated incidents that when you're prepared down the road and get the go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rogue doesn't allow heel hooks in their competitions, and you guys just finished the Grand Prix. That was amazing. It was really cool to watch during the hurricane. That was I had all my treats and sweets and set up and couldn't wait for the pay-per-view for that. But that was really cool to see.
It was really awesome. I was so impressed with like all the competitors, despite Hurricane Lee that became Tropical Storm Lee, that, you know, people are traveling. It was like, oh God, are we going to like lose people? But no, everybody showed up. Maybe
That's
a
awesome.
few of the people that bought seats to watch didn't get to make it, but the place was packed.
That's
and it
awesome.
it was really awesome. Synergy in Fredericton, they graciously opened up their doors for us to hold the event.
Nice.
And, you know, it was just, again, and actually tying back into our women that fight, you know, I've seen a lot of these women that have competed at other tournaments, but not enough to go up and talk and, you know, necessarily interact because it's such a busy time. I'm working, you know, people are getting ready for their competitions. They're like with their crew. And it was so cool because basically Wolf Run like
was all there.
We're all there, front row seats. Their women are competing. So it was really like, oh, hey, just saw you a week ago, you know, long time no see. So it was nice to have that interaction where now I know I feel comfortable. You know, if I go over to the island, it's like, all right, I can get some, you know, get some roll time in and go visit their club. They're all wonderful people. So it's just like another friendly area to go into.
Yeah.
And, you know, anytime I'm ever going to see them out, it's going to be a nice, like, pleasant, right? Like, it's,
right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's always nice to see the familiar faces. And I think, like, you see certain people who are, like, like, high competitors. Madeline Hughes is one of the people I think of. Like, I'm so used to seeing certain faces that are in competitions, and you see their, you know, so it's so nice to see them at those events and be able to go up and, like, chat with people and I mean, even though you're competing against each other, it's like you're still friends. Like, it's like really nice network of women.
It's so cool. I mean, male or female, it is so cool to see the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And then it's like game face time and then they're in it. But even if they, like, during the competition, let's say if they get kind of like out of bounds and they have to be reset, or, you know, they're checking in on each other, or at the end of the match, you know, whether it was timeout or submission or something, and they're, you know, one person's helping the other one up. And again, that check-in, like hugging, you know, thank you so much, like appreciating each other, thanking each other for the match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, similar thing to like roles in just a regular class, but it's just so cool to see that kind of like switch.
Yeah.
Where they're like in the zone and then back to like, hey, you know, tap on the shoulder, like, great to see you, man. Like,
yeah. Well, it's neat with jiu-jitsu because, like, I always found it kind of funny how we, you know, we belong to a team, but it's such an individual sport. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like 5 of us are out there competing against 5 other people. It's like one-on-one matches, but it is kind of a team. And then it grows from there that everybody belongs to this jiu-jitsu club and like this jiu-jitsu family, whether you're, you know, at a different club or not. Like, so it kind of just, it's that expansion and those layers to the network of just people who train.
Well, you have a pretty cool network too, because I mean, you and your husband Patrick, you guys usually go to like a week-long jiu-jitsu camp.
Yeah, that's our vacation time. We're super fortunate when we've gotten to go to the Globetrotter camps, and it just it's instructors from all over the world, it's people from all over the world. We try to get to the main camp because it's driving distance, but our goal is to maybe expand to a different space sometime and maybe do one of the camps that are like Iceland, or I really want to do the Poland one because it's like the Zen camp and it's like, you know, but you get to network with people from all over. So my Facebook is just full of people and I'm like, oh yeah, who's this? But like, they're obviously always wearing like a gi in their profile pic, and it's like, all right, somebody I met at camp or whatever. And then you chit chat back and forth and keep those connections. It's really nice.
It is awesome. So then, you know, at any point in time, kind of like really close friends, where even if you don't see them every day or talk to them, you can always just kind of call them out of the blue and talk as though nothing has, like, no time has passed in between. And I think that's really cool about, I mean, obviously everyone's out there living their lives and having their experiences, but that is kind of that same feeling in the jiu-jitsu family where you could just not see someone for 3 months.
Yeah.
Or in your case, like a year, you go back to camp, you see some of the familiar faces, and it's just like no time has passed,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice that way. And like just kind of following along with people on Facebook and stuff, it's not the same as like seeing everyone every day, but you do kind of follow up on their achievements. Like you're always excited to see when someone's gotten a belt promotion or gone and traveled, or there's been an expansion of camps. So there's people who have gone to the jiu-jitsu camps who are now hosting in Mexico and different places and stuff like that. So hosting their own camps or their own seminars. Sometimes you know, it's an opportunity to bring someone to your club from camp that is teaching seminars, or even just learning as much as you can from these camps and bringing it back to your own students. Like I said, with some of the tidbits that we learned from the Women That Fight seminars, like, you know, you come back and you bring that knowledge back to your students, and then they have it, and you're just information sharing all around. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, because you actually incorporated your like first class back was really cool. It's kind of like the eureka moments and just the practice of like, you know, here's some fundamental that, you know, we've kind of done and we're going to bring it back. And you really owned it. It was really cool because, you know, it was a fun experience seeing it there.
Yeah.
And then seeing you incorporate it for our class back home.
Yeah, no, that was, I loved the sequence of moves that Paul had shown for the side control techniques and just different tips that he suggested. And I don't know if I quite did it justice. I have to fully learn it myself,
of course
too.
You did.
But I try my best to pass it on to my students as well. And I was really excited about a lot of the stuff that we learned at the Women That Fight event. It was really, really cool. Yeah. Really good time.
Yeah, it was. No, it was really amazing. We really grateful that I had the opportunity to do it, and looking forward to the next events that come up that we can be a part of, because I just, you know, now you have some extra friends out there, seeing what they're doing, you know, building them up, because, you know, like myself being a white belt, you know, there was obviously other white belts there, and it's nice to kind of see them promoting and pushing themselves and posting things about their journey, and us being alongside to watch them as they grow too, and support each other and cheer each other on, because, you know, life's difficult. There's so many obstacles, whether it's, you know, monetary, it's health, it's all different things that we're all going to deal with it. So it's just nice to have a space where people are just genuinely excited to see you. They're sincere and they're wanting for you to grow. Mm-hmm. You know, you can go to them for help and vice versa. You know, it's honest. I think we said that in one of the first episodes, is kind of about the ego and the humility, right? Like you kind of put the ego at the door. You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. And all of that is okay. Mm-hmm. And there's no real lying in it, because it's like you roll with people and they know what you're capable of and what you're not. Yeah. So, you know, you don't have to have this persona. You can just be you. And I think it's really cool, because when you look at a lot of people, like their professions and stuff, and like it's such a vast array. There's not like only people that do really sporty things are in it, or like, you know, they can be accountants, they can be, you know, like it could be labor, it could be the finances, it could be like just anywheres across the board, corrections. Like there's just so many different nurses and doctors.
I felt like a lot of the women at the Women That Fight had like a nursing background. Yeah. It was really cool to see. And hairdressing, like all different walks of life, like so all cool. Different avenues of professions and things like that. So that was cool. Like really neat to see. What was I going to touch on? I forgot that I wanted to say something and I can't remember.
Sorry, probably stole it from you here.
No, I'm always like, where am I? What's going on? I never know.
Can't have it completely scripted, or it would be too obvious, right? Yeah. So we just have our talking points. And
totally winging it.
Yeah. It's like a real conversation we're having here. Yeah. But no, it was, I think it was good. We got to go be in a group of amazing women, looking forward to more, branching out that network. And the other thing too is, like you had touched on earlier, just with your travel, is, you know, taking note of people that are now establishing, you know, doing events in other countries, mm-hmm. but also having them as guests to come.
Yeah.
So I know for us, like, we're definitely going to eventually have guests on the show. That is the goal. And, you know, so again, building that network where we'll be able to like Sarah, hey Jill, maybe you guys want to be on the podcast sometime, and getting that support, but as well as for our events too, like maybe some of them will come down and, or they know someone that we can bring down to kind of have those collaborative seminars or classes. So
yeah,
that's another really cool
it's
cool
really
part
cool.
of it.
I know a lot of times too, like you go to these events, there's a girl there that's from New Brunswick, and she was like, oh, where do you train? And I was telling her, and it's like, feel free to drop in. Not all clubs are open to drop-ins, but ours is game. I'm always excited when I get another person dropping in, male or female. I'm always excited because you get to see what other people are bringing. You get to learn from them, and they get to learn from you. It's like a mutual sharing, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty neat.
Awesome.
Hopefully, I think what I was trying to think of was hopefully we'll get to host another Women That Fight, because we did host one back when we were on Westmoreland at our other club, and we've grown so much since then. So we've got way more mat space, and then Melissa has a lot of mat space at her club, and she's got a ton of women that train under her.
Yes, she does. So it's amazing.
That would be a great spot for hopefully at some point we get one of these events in our stomping grounds, or
absolutely
in our province.
Have some fun prizes, have some events. And that was one thing that was just like the icing on the top, that Jill opened up her family cottage for all the women after the fact. Like, we got to go out there, casual potluck. I mean, she fed us, just got to sit around and just chat about whatever. So we really got to know the other women, again, like we learned a lot about their professions and a lot about just like home life and the journey, like how they started, you know, a little bit more about, they moved from clubs, moved from provinces, whatever that looked like. It was just so cool. And, obviously a lot of people that knew each other, and just kind of, just watching, because I did, interacted, but also kind of sat back and watched kind of the evening unfold too, which was really cool. So, but it was just a really nice bonding experience.
Yeah. And in talking about professions, there was one girl there that I think was a firefighter. There was another lady there that was, I want to say model. Yeah. Yeah. There was like a lot of different things. So that's always kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've just bragged the whole time about how awesome the Women That Fight event was, but it was. So if you have fear of missing out, make it there next year for sure.
Absolutely. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram. There's just so many cool jiu-jitsu communities. I know I stumbled on one that I started following, Girls and Gis.
Yes.
I think they're mainly in the States, because they have a lot of different seminar across different states, but I think it might be bigger than that. So I apologize if I'm not doing you guys justice, but that is another organization you can become a member to. And really, like most people, as long as you're not a creeper, you're coming to practice, or you're meeting some of the people in person. They know you're not a bot.
Do you remember when there was this guy that was going around and kept adding he basically would like follow these jiu-jitsu academies and like try and add all the females, and then like I can't remember if he was asking them to like set up a triangle or something. Anyway, do you probably don't remember when that was happening?
I think that was before me.
Yeah, and then everybody's going to class and being like, "Don't add this person," like they're just being creepy. And you're like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
And that is the other thing. The creeps will be found out.
Yes.
They'll be pointed out. They'll be shunned, and you'll know who they are. So
yeah, that's true.
Hopefully you don't have too many interactions with them. But
the other thing that I really like with the Women That Fight website or Facebook page is that from any academy, you can post a female if they've been up, like gotten a new belt level or belt rank. Then you post and let everybody know, so it just feels like it really is like a community of women that are just supporting each other. I love that. I know I've said that before, but
it is amazing.
It just makes my heart happy.
I mean, and let's not, in the clubs themselves, I mean, we're obviously cheering on male or female in our club. So it's really wonderful that way, but it is nice across the board because the women, the numbers are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So it's just that much more important to be cheering each other on and just having that, having that connection, because it can be difficult. Both sides have its challenges, male or female in the sport, but it's nice that as females, and we're, trying to grow those numbers and be supportive of each other and having that. So,
yeah. You must see a big difference with Rogue, though.
Oh yeah. Like our goal is really it was wonderful, the Grand Prix, because the first year we didn't have one because we didn't have enough females to have that. So the Grand Prix is essentially what we have, an open weight competition, and the winners from that get their name into the final to win a belt. So it wasn't until the second year that we were able to,
That's
get
really
a female division for it. And then of course COVID happened, and then, having another one this year that was just absolutely amazing. It
really
was
exciting to see
Oh.
Telly defend her belt.
Yes.
That's
She was
cool.
phenomenal. I mean, all the women were like,
Yeah.
they put, as far as time goes, some of the matches,
Yeah.
they put some of the men to shame, and how hard they rolled and how long they took it. So
yeah, no, that
absolutely.
was cool to see. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
That makes me
Yeah.
pretty excited for women in the sport,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. And also coming up and refereeing as well, because a lot of these tournaments, there's, depending on how long you've been doing the sport and, being comfortable, because right now we have Melissa that, for Rogue, that does our reffing, that she's just absolutely amazing. I don't know what we do without her, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to see more females coming up along the lines to be reffing as well and being on
Yeah.
those mats. So
And you say that, but it was kind of fun when we went to the Women That Fight, that my buddy Alex, he gets some compliments at that event for reffing at the Rogue tournaments. And such a super nice guy. It's nice to see like the recognition, even if it's not recognition for your competition or what have you, but like seeing that people that are reffing, people who doing the scoreboards and stuff, are all getting acknowledged for the efforts they're putting into support for the sport too.
yeah, because it's all exposure. I think it's really cool as you start learning, like I said in the first episode, just watching these people, and it was like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's really cool. And then as you learn, you're like, oh, you're recognizing the moves, you're seeing like the potentials, and it's just being there at these events. Like I even tell my friends, like just come and watch. Like it's super cool. Even if you don't know what's going on, it is super cool, and it's easy to follow the point system. It's you're watching the refs kind of like hands up which color, how many points. But yeah, it's really cool to watch. And even if you don't want to compete, but you just go to support your teammates, go to check it out, it helps reiterate some of that stuff too, for your practice. Like just seeing these movements and you recognizing it and you're playing it in your head. Like,
well, and that's why I always encourage like my students, if there is an injury or anything like that, feel free to come to the class and sit on the sideline and watch. It's not the same as taking part, but I just want you to be there. Like, and whether that's to encourage the other women or try and absorb as much as you can from following along and seeing what is going on in the class. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I had a new tattoo at the Women That Fight thing, so watching everybody roll and have all the fun without me was hard. So when you go, sometimes you don't want to be that person on the side and watch, but it is supportive for your team, and it is,
yeah. So don't feel ashamed of that.
Yeah.
I've seen it, both male and females coming in, and like I myself, there's been times where I've had issues with my hip or whatnot, or I come in, I'm like, listen, I've got nothing today, but I'm here.
And then
and
sometimes I still bully her. I'm like, okay, no, it's okay. You can stay on the side. And then I'm like, Jill, can I just demo on you?
I'm like, okay.
She's never turned me down yet.
I'm always down for being the dummy.
Yeah, it's like, get over here. Your arm's okay, right? It's terrible. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I can say no, but no, it's nice because you do recognize, and as I'm watching the movement, I'm like playing it in my head, like the scenarios, because I think I've said it before, that was one thing that I knew jiu-jitsu stuck for me when I was like in the car and I was replaying stuff
in your mind.
and and it was just rolling. I'm like, oh, so this is what it's like to get hooked.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's
an addiction.
It's an addiction, but I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming along for the ride and visiting with us today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week, because actually, I suppose I shouldn't say wonderful week because it depends on when we post this.
Yeah, I think we're aiming to do one a month.
That's the goal. So
have a nice month.
Yeah, have a nice month, and we'll see you in the next round. And we'll pick a different topic. I know we probably want to get back to etiquette and just kind of like working around the club and stuff. So unless we get a, guest speaker or something. So stay tuned on our social media. We'll be posting some things
Yeah.
on Instagram, but
Yeah. Until the next roll.
yeah.